Perfection, the crowning achievement of Stardew Valley. How long does it take to get if you're flying blind? Today, I'll be showing you exactly how long it takes to achieve perfection in Stardew Valley if you've never played before and you can't look anything up. This one's a wild ride, folks, complete with epic plays, goofy mistakes, and of course, a whole lot of emotions, okay? Why are these characters so real? Grab your snacks, and let's get to work. I kicked off day 301 with a new recipe, since I was gonna need every single one, and now I only needed to learn 14 more. I spent the rest of the day harvesting, seed making, setting up the farm, and replanting chi beans for the chi gem quest I'd taken a few days ago. I ended up making 9 more seed makers to speed up the process, because otherwise this was gonna take all day every time. The comments had given me ample hints on where to find the last 4 fish I hadn't caught, so here I caught a stonefish, here I caught an ice pip, and here I caught a slime jack. I planted a few extra chi beans I'd gotten from fishing, and also thanks to your comments, I finally realized I was supposed to water these for the hutch to actually do anything. I saved those new fish for later, dealt with my out-of-sync chi fruit next morning, and found out how the hutch works. Oh my. What? I didn't mean to... Whoa! What in tarnation? I went to the desert looking for that last of 4 mystery fish, found another thick book, and eventually... Ooh, what was that? Hey, Master Angler, we got the scorpion carp! We got them all! And 12 wood, baby. Fishing? Check. I was blazing through the comment hints you guys had given me on the 300 days video. Did I do that one? In fact, I hadn't. It led me to here, where I could trade this driver a rabbit's foot in exchange for a new wallet power thing, the special charm. More luck forever and always? Sounds good to me. I stopped by Pierre's to grab some cooking supplies, and addressed another comment hint to check this door. Turns out Caroline is a big fan of tea. Like, maybe a bit too big of a fan. Who knows what might appear? What? What's in your tea? What are you putting in your tea? Anyway, she gave me some tea leaves, which I could apparently brew into tea, and it looks like I need to sell one of each. I tossed the leaves in a keg and hoped that'd get the job done. I made a couple of new recipes and handled keg day like a seasoned pro, including the tea, which was now already done. I sold that and the pumpkin juice for collection and money and called it a night. Willie sent me this letter the next day, so I had a nice little Stardrop snack to celebrate the fishing victory. Hopefully completing the other sets will reward Stardrops too. Caroline sent this letter with the recipe for a tea sapling. What an interesting way to make a tree. Here's some seeds and some wood and some fiber. It's a tree now! I made 5, tried and failed to plant them in the greenhouse, and carved out another column of the orchard for the tea trees. I grabbed another tea leaf from Caroline to sell, but I just gave her the tea leaves! Whoops. Then it was off to the island. Elliot whispers a sweet secret into your ear. Only wish I'd given you a bouquet first. Okay. Anyway, I got some clams. At the island, the mangoes had arrived, but the bananas weren't quite ready. I started getting into the island starfruit harvesting grind, and went to visit that nut hint parrot again. Buried near bones, huh? I began clearing this entire place, when prehistoric scapula... Holy shit, was that the last one? And that's the artifacts, folks. But I still gotta bring it to old boy first. After digging basically this whole area, I noticed this suspicious looking spot and snagged a new nut. Only 24 of those to go. The parrot said this the next day, and apparently Leo loves mangoes. After some hunting, I found one in the middle of these stars, and assumed the other 5 are the frog. I gave some more gifts. You know what? Go ahead and assume on any given day that I'm doing a bunch of this gift giving, and we'll check in on it later. Most of the chi fruit was ready again today, but the day count versus the number I had was beginning to look not so good. I decided to give it my best anyway, because 100 chi gems were on the line. At the museum, I stumbled into an Elliot cutscene, where I listened to him read an entire romance novel to the town. You're lucky I like you, Elliot. Then I got to why I'd come here. A complete collection! We finished the museum. Why is there more space than there is artifacts? I did some final rearranging, and complete collection, huh? I went home to give it my best on the chi fruit seed making for the rest of the day, including making a temporary extra section down here for him. This is how the socials were looking at this point. We'll check on those after more gift giving. I spent some time on the chi fruit and ancient fruit seed conversion, and I reached a sweet 100 ancient seeds all ready to go. Then I gathered up some animal products, because it was time to tackle the massive recipe making situation. I made a few things, getting this achievement, and then realized I needed plenty of fruits and veggies too. Then I made more things. This started to get a little out of hand, to the point where I just started started shoving everything I had in my fridges. I got another cooking achievement. I was a proper chef now. And I went back to get even more ingredients from Pierre. Then I made more stuff. And I realized I had to get fish too. Let's just look. This is what I made. I also made a bee house and some kegs during the process. And I noticed I already had honey, which I tossed in the outside keg for meat. Most of what I was missing to cook more recipes was seasonal forage and ocean crab pot stuff. So I went looking for more wood and forage for the rest of the day. I sold my first meat on day 306 and spent the day chopping, foraging, and grabbing freshwater crab pots to put back by the ocean. I also knocked out this fall forage recipe before it was too late and checked the cart lady to find garlic seeds. Ooh, Mr. Frog will be happy sooner than I thought. Just before bed, I made this thing along with 52 more kegs and got that ostrich egg incubating. I spent the entirety of day 307 in denial. The math was bad. I had 2 days left to complete the quest, and I needed a full growth cycle of 3 days to pass to get the 500 chi fruit I needed. But I did all this anyway, on the slim hope that I was wrong, or that I'd at least get to keep them. That was depressing. But today was Pumpkin Day. You can never be upset when it's Pumpkin Day. That's right, so let's get back to it. Please ignore the depressing continued effort towards the chi beans. I definitely did not waste 2 days working on this, full well knowing it wasn't gonna work. Final day. Yeah, it's all gonna go away. I don't know why I'm doing this. I think this is denial. You think? I started switching the Crystallaria to rubies, hoping I could set up a spicy eel for life kind of situation. I threw down the crab pots, actually remembered to bait them, and went back to the aisle, where banana! I harvested the ancient fruit and star fruit too, planted the lucky garlic seed and starfruit seeds, sold 1 banana for the collections, grabbed my Ginger Island crab pots, and tested out that banana box thing I'd noticed before. Yes! Oh! Okay, dude. This game never fails to surprise me. I thought that was gonna open up and we were gonna be allowed to go that way. No. The hint parrot said this, so I went looking. But speaking of surprises, what the heck? The Pirate's Cove was active. Each one of these pirates was as corny as ever, and I loved it. This guy asked me to play darts to score exactly 301 points, and I did so, despite the really shaky cursor, and earn a walnut to boot. I spent the rest of the night scouring the cove for the walnut the parrot mentioned, but never found it, so I had a scallywag nap instead. Winter began on the tropical isle, where the frog confirmed the garlic was the right thing, and this gorilla just existed now. Despite my best effort to give him another banana, all I did was eat one in front of him. I saw what the parrot meant in the daylight, claimed a new nut, and went home to face the music. I got this haul from the crab pots, moved them to a slightly more convenient spot, and bought a full stack of bait so I never had to worry about having enough bait again. Then I realized I should have taken a new quest from Chi, so I went all the way back and took this one, which was a 3-day speed run of augmented legendary fish. Sure, why not? I'd constantly forgotten to get a new tea leaf from Caroline, but those only produced in the last week of the season, so now I had to wait till late winter. Yay. Oh, and look at my farm. Totally barren of chi fruit. I'm not crying, you're crying. I cooked my first crab cake, and took part in the glorious keg day once more. I packed up the seed makers, since 150 ancient seeds felt like enough, and I spent the night prepping for the fishing adventures, and I made so much overnight. Day 310 was fishing day. I tackled the Glacierfish Jr. first, and this thing was a menace. But I did manage it on my first encounter. I'd stacked a bunch of seeds I wanted to bring to Ginger Island in my inventory, so after catching the much easier radioactive carp, my inventory was struggling. I went for Miss Angler next, but the spot I'd stood to catch it wouldn't work now thanks to the waterfall, so I improvised. But soon, I had 3 out of 5. Then I messed up. I went for the Legend 2 next, but I hadn't yet caught the son of a crimson fish. The original legend had to be caught last in the set of legendaries, so after being unable to catch this guy, I assumed I'd made a mistake. And when I went to the beach, my inventory caught up with me when I saw that I had lobsters to harvest, which was the other crab pot thing I still needed for recipes. Then I lost even more time forgetting that I'd been on the pier when I'd caught the crimson fish, such that it was now nighttime. So I spent a little time working on another slight farm adjustment. The queen taught me pumpkin pie in the morning, so I cooked it and went straight back to the ocean, where I found a nautilus shell for my sturgeon friends. Then I got to fishing for the son of crimson fish, and he was a beast. But eventually, I landed him. But the Legend 2 didn't go as well. I lost it once, I lost it twice, but on attempt number 3 of this kind of stuff, sing a song about the time that we went fishing. It's a fatter bass! And look, we got some Che gems. Weirdly, they were a currency and didn't go into my inventory. Guess I'm not gonna be able to smelt those. I went to buy some ore I understood at Clint's and came home to find I already had the earth crystals I'd need for the earth obelisk. Alright, that's wonderful news. I stored the extended family in this chest to see if they would disappear tomorrow and gave my other fish friends their recent request. I stumbled into a winter root on the farm, started smelting lots of copper, and made 3 new recipes. One with a bass I'd gotten while fishing, one with the lobster from yesterday, and one with that winter root. And I spent the rest of the night working on that same farm adjustment. I did a little more that next morning. My goal was to link up these 2 farm sections and make them one really big farm section. Then it was off to the Wizard, where I bought my first obelisk, moved a bunch of farm buildings around because I could, and bought my second obelisk. I spent a decent chunk of time moving small stuff around, but eventually I got the obelisks looking like this. I put them up here by the teleport home spot, since these were supposedly going to be a teleportation network. I went to the beach the fancy way, and headed back to the island, where I told Mr. Frog about the garlic, and he gave me 5 nuts one last time. I had enough of those now for this thing, which made an obelisk of sorts. I harvested the farm, replanted it with my bounty of different seeds, and bothered Chi about how to get the radioactive bars, where I learned about a radioactive ore. So that's what this is. That means these are the only 2 things I don't know yet. I grabbed some wood on the way home, learned from the parrot that the 5 hidden in the west wasn't about the frog, took my new obelisk back to the farm, and made 1 more recipe with the lone garlic. I made some more kegs on the next day, and the new fish decided to stay after all. I harvested the greenhouse for a little extra cash from Pierre, and had Robin help me move my buildings around to make these just a little bit better, and ordered a new fish pond. The barn was too full for the ostrich to hatch, so I sold one of the cows to make room. Goodbye! Sorry. Welcome the ostrich chick. Pricky. Okay, then I spent the rest of the night again working on the farm layout. I grouped the whole family up the next day, thinking I might try some row shenanigans with these, and or some of the other really difficult catches like octopus or lava eel, and spent the day finishing off the farmland part of the farm rework. Krobus was at the very bottom of the socials, so I brought him a gift I'd been recommended to by the internet, a pumpkin, which seemed to be his favorite thing. The farm was now a 6x19 quality sprinkler behemoth, and I allocated a new row of the orchard to the mystic trees. I paid the desert trader a visit on day 315, where I kept the spicy eel and staircase trains rolling, and bought this recipe for the crafting everything part of perfection, and crossed it off the list, along with a few other miscellaneous items. Some crops were ready at Ginger Island, where I'd come to go tooth hunting again, but I ended up hunting for these 2 in the north instead. I started to figure out the style of how these things were hidden, in the middle of a bunch of stuff, basically. So I managed to find— oh god, I'm crazy. I'm actually nuts. I didn't mean to do— With this new epiphany having taken hold, I looked for those 5 in the west for the rest of the day, and managed to find 4 of them, bulging very close by. Yeah, that was a weird hint right there, and despite my best efforts, I couldn't find the bulge. Perhaps that's for the best. Bulging? You wanna run that by me again? I purchased this cooking recipe with bone shards I'd mined while looking, and spent the rest of the day looking for teeth and vanquishing magma sprites for the Slayer goal. The next day, I remembered to check Mr. Cheese for a new quest, and this one kinda looked like it might answer the radioactive ore question, especially since it matched the name of this achievement. So I went for it. Perfection report, we're getting somewhere. I harvested the Ginger Farm's 5-pointed bounty, along with some amaranth, and replanted all my not starfruit I had left, as well as more glorious you-know-what, and began to sweat my 4 remaining one-heart friends. This ancient wine was as ancient as it was gonna get, so I harvested it and learned it doubled the value. But at the same moment, I also learned starfruit was actually better than ancient fruit here. But ancient fruit wouldn't require replanting or repurchasing seeds, so it was clearly a trade-off. It was keg day too, but I hadn't brought the recent Ginger Farm starfruit home yet because I kinda suck at inventory management. So I didn't quite fill all the kegs, but I got most of them. For the last few, I did some random things like beer and coffee, because why not? That is literally more than 1 million right there. Then I headed to the mines, where the elevator was indeed broken, and this was something really cool. The mines had been completely redone. I quickly found my first radioactive ore, as well as a loose Che gem. The new mobs in here had some high health, but I had some high defense, so I was surviving long enough for the OP fairy to heal me. This place was also Loot City, with nifty things and advantageously placed ores. The elevator started working the way it did in the very beginning, unlocking every 5 floors, and each of the biomes had new themes, like this ocean one here. But it wasn't exactly a serene experience. Thankfully, all the jade I'd farmed meant I had a crazy amount of staircases, so I made it all the way here before doing one of these again. And as for the— whoa! Oh, it wiggles. I like that it wiggles. The reruns taught me another one of these, and I started smelting my first radioactive bars. And I sold one ore for the collections. More island crops are ready, and I picked up what I'd had to leave behind here before, well, some of it. I got 7 nanners, which combined with those 5 nanners is enough. All that was left for the obelisks was some teeth and one more round of starfruit wine. The ruby mission was online, but it was time to mine once again. The staircases helped me get to the third biome, the foresty area, which replaced the ice biome. Oh, this is weird. It is, but it's also awesome. The dust sprites were looking a little different, but I hoped they'd still count for the Slayer goal. The forest got darker though, and out came the bugs, the horrible bugs, and this dashing ghost that gave an effect that keeps you from eating anything if it hits you. Scary. Frankly, if it wasn't for the fairy, I might not have made it. Oh, and speaking of which, I got a fairy box. Someone's a level 3 fairy companion. We love an upgrade. It seemed to heal faster and more potently, which sounded good to me. I took my staircases to get out of this place, and found myself in a dungeon with skeletons that could lock me in place. Okay, let's keep moving. More staircases, and then it was fire time. The goal was quite dense, but this biome was the most similar to the original mines, still menacing, with stronger versions of the same stuff. Bro has a crossbow. Whoa! Yeah. Stronger. It was a great chance to get fire quartz for my latent interest in a shed full of dehydrators, but was otherwise mostly me running away with staircases from the scary things. And then of course, oh, I passed out. My first radioactive bars were finished next morning, known by the Zuzu City Safety Commission to cause irreversible bodily harm. Awesome. Seems like a good thing to sell, right? I once again made more kegs, and then it was back to more scary staircasing. How magical this experience is. What a wonderful experience. I was lucky enough to find a mushroom floor, so the purple mushroom request for the raccoons would soon be sorted. The final biome truly had that demonic abandoned mineshaft vibe, with more mushrooms to boot, but eventually I reached the bottom. Phew, that was work. This thing existed here now, but I had to wait till tomorrow to see what it did. I topped off my bomb supply and went home to smelt all the ore I'd acquired on the journey. While I was waiting, I crafted a few things I hadn't crafted before, like my first iridium sprinkler, which would apparently water a 5x5 square around it instead of the typical 3x3. They interested me enough to make more of these to hopefully get more batteries, but I wasn't really sure where to put them. By this point, I'd harvested so much oak resin, I mean look at this, that I decided the need for oak trees was fast disappearing. I quickly gave this dude his mushrooms, and I got a fancy hat. Sure, okay, good luck with that family, little bro. And the hat wasn't half bad, to be honest. Back at the mines, this shrine could now be activated. Through some brief detective work, I deduced activating this was now a way to make the mines function like they had during the quest, whenever I wanted, on the following day. To be honest, I'd expected to get a key to this place instead, where I'd then presumably be able to get radioactive stuff in the future, but this works too. So then, what is that? I bought the desert obelisk, immediately moved it as well as these fish ponds, and requisitioned these rods from their horrible location. And by the end of the night, I had this, though I suspected I might make some changes with the pathways. I tried a bunch of things in the dehydrator on day 321, hoping to figure out those last 2 things in the shipping collection. I tried bug meat hoping to get jerky, seaweed to get dried seaweed, vegetables for, I don't know really, but none of it worked. Amidst the efforts, I found the little ostrich had grown up to this big guy, so I got a new ostrich egg. I sold that, tried a few other things, like milk for powdered milk, but really couldn't work this one out. I did remember to go polish off this mastery thing, as I'd gotten enough for all 5 at this point. Oh, I'm done. Oh, you feel Grandpa's hand patting your shoulder. Oh, how touching. Literally. I got this new and improved fishing rod, but of course, I had 0 use for that at this point. I tried putting some of the legendary fish in this fish pond, but the legend wouldn't be happy in there. Did I ask about happiness? I asked about profits. Yeah, so none of those worked, so I went for the octopus. I chose this as the new horrible location for the lightning rods, and did my best to make this spot look a little better, and started consistently working on the people at the bottom of the socials list, mostly with flowers. I accidentally remembered this dude's birthday. Nice! And I bought a special gift for somebody new, since it was time to expand the collective once again. Then I ran into a Sebastian cutscene which I related to deeply. He told me that he's a freelance programmer, that no one takes his job seriously, and he doesn't want to do the corporate rat race. Sebastian, my guy, we have 3 more things in common than I thought we did. I ordered a new fish pond, bought all the recipes Robin sold, as well as a hunk of wood for crafting stuff. Ginger Farm had more to harvest, and I paid Chi a visit, where I spent some walnuts on Chi gems. I figured this was safe, since this option hadn't shown up till I'd done every single parrot trade I could find. Then I used my gems to buy this Junimo chest pair, which I guess would be an actual ender chest kind of thing, and this thing, which I suspected would let me get more seeds from Pierre. I tested the chest. It's Only 9 inventory spots? I'm upset. I used it to help me get more of the island harvest home, cooked 6 more recipes with said bounty, and started hypothesizing. For example, I expect that Krobus is going to teach me the strange bun because I get strange buns from those shadow people down there all the time. I made one more of these to produce frozen tears for my programmer buddy, and just before sleep, I learned these don't work quite like ender chests. I brought Pierre his stock list the next day, which caused him to start selling all the different season seeds permanently. Oh my god. Oh! That'll save me some trouble. I ran into a Harvey cutscene where I agreed that Harvey's generic recommendation for George's health was a good one. Krobus asked me to help him not get assassinated. I know exactly why you gave me this stone today. Do you? Do you really? The island was successfully growing powder melons I'd tested, so this farm could evidently grow any season's crops. I had these choices again for Chi, so I decided to go for the Spicy Mines rework one more time, and purchased this thing from the shop in case it had a unique mushroom I needed for the dehydrator. I got this tiger slime egg, and I made a few dehydrators to help me test more things, like maybe a banana for banana chips. Sadly, that didn't work, and surprisingly, I couldn't even use truffles. But it was keg day, so today was a win no matter what. I subbed in some ancient fruit this time since I really ran out of starfruit, and decided to leave a permanent Junimo chest here for easy swapping when teleporting. This quest was available, which had some decent synergy with the Chi quest, and a 50 Chi gem offer was hard to ignore. So after a little ginger farm work and some rampant gift giving, I put my magic chest down and got to work on rerunning these loot-filled mines for the rest of the night. And wine money is still great. I got another of those recipes from the Queen in the morning, and put a pressure nozzle I'd gotten from those loot-filled mines yesterday on this iridium sprinkler to see what it would do. And I also made another one since I hadn't seen what they do without the nozzle either. I also decided to try another one of those tough fish in a pond to see how it worked out. And I remembered something important. There'd been a secret note about raisins and Junimo that I'd completely ignored. But now I decided dehydrating grapes had to be the move. I also tried tomatoes, but no luck there. I ran into a Penny cutscene where I was a guest speaker for kids, but considering my track record on speaking out loud, that probably didn't go so well. Happy birthday, Mr. Wizard. Please build me one of these now, thanks. And I spent the rest of the day in the mines again, with a brief break to make some pumpkin pies for health, and also this recipe that I hadn't made yet. The grapes indeed produced raisins on the morrow, so now I was down to one final mystery in the produce section. The pressure nozzle iridium sprinkler is also crazy effective, evidently adding a ring compared to the normal ones. I also got my first octopus roe, which seemed to be just a bit less good than sturgeon roe by default, but I wasn't sure about the eel. Do I have to get like a lava pond or something for that? I queued up more raisins, ordered another fish pond, and did more chi mining, pausing on most levels today to slay the reskinned dust sprites for the Slayer goal and Clint quest, because thankfully they still counted. I also got one of these, which seemingly would help me get the new best weapon in the game once I had 3 of them. I'd polished off one of those 2 quests by this point, but I still had to get to the bottom. Clint sent this letter and a crafting recipe as thanks, and I tried out this new geode crusher. Looks like I might need to do some quests to get all the crafting recipes, huh? I put some raisins in this hut, as per the note, and went to the desert to try and make a new galaxy sword, which did not work. I also bought some honey there for making more farm totems, but fiber was an issue, so I tried out these fiber seeds I needed to craft at least once anyway. And speaking of seeds, I needed kale too. You may be wondering though, why on earth was I trying to make a new galaxy sword? And why did I just buy one? So this soul thing said 3 of them had to be forged into a weapon to make it extra special. But my galaxy sword had already been forged once. That's that Crusader thing. And supposedly they could only be forged 3 times. So I thought I needed a fresh one. God, I didn't realize I was low. Oopsie. The spirits were on my side though, as I lost very little of anything at all. I spent the rest of that night clearing and beginning to pave the quarry. I went to the forge bright and early to see how this would help, but just before I added this to the fresh sword, I noticed the soul 1 of 3 thing here, and reconsidered that maybe souls were a separate thing from other forges, and that I could probably just use my original blade. Oh, so I wasted my money then. And I also think it does nothing until you get to 3. Yeah, literally no change. I also checked Cheese Shop on a hunch. Do you maybe sell more Junimo chests? You do. So the idea isn't to carry Junimo chests around your inventory, it's to place them all over the place. That makes more sense. I finally picked up the rest of the Ginger Island stockpile and spent the rest of the day in the mines again, using a new strategy of being really aggressive with bomb usage, since I didn't really have staircases this time, but I did have money. Fortunately, I was very calm the whole time. Oh my
my goodness, I'm not excited about what I'm experiencing. I currently am expressing the I want my mommy emotion.
The next day, I got my first lava eel roe, which I learned was even more valuable than sturgeon roe. I started my next test with scorpion carp and proceeded to buy bombs for the day, but the dwarf said this.
One day you'll have to tell me about this beverage you call milk. You want me to bring it to you?
And I couldn't possibly resist.
I'm gonna get this dude some milk. He needs some milk. What exactly does this juice come from? Where's this juice come from?
I love this game. I bombed my way through the rest of the day and cleared the mines in time. The next day, I harvested dried cranberries, which unfortunately weren't the craisins I was hoping for. So I tried powder melons, hoping I could powder them, as it were. My lava eel was behaving like the sturgeon had, so I began to assume the good roe fish would exhibit this behavior. Ginger's bounty was acquired once again, and this time I replanted everything else I had left and started up on the ancient fruit project. She gave me these options, and I wasn't willing to fish again, so gifts it is. And I decided to buy the most expensive recipe in his shop to start chipping away at that impending problem. And with that, the loved gifts began, taking advantage of what I learned so far. Before I left to work on that, the hint parrot said this, so I planned to mine those mussel rocks every time I was here. And when I got home, I spent the rest of the day on the good old kegs, learning about the Raccoon Fam's new spring requests, and crafting and testing these new hoppers. And look at that, 2 million G at once. It's a nice feeling. But the powder melons weren't it. This thing is quite the mystery. Kent gave us a recipe for Harvey's favorite thing, good for him, and I set up the hopper operation outside, hoping they'd help with the geodes and another round of seed making. And then, every time I ran into someone, I'd check to see if I knew what they loved, and give them it out of the kindness of my heart, for sure. I looped this process obsessively with everyone, but there were some people I had no idea what they loved, or I simply didn't have it. I ran into a cutscene here where I apparently startled Maru into breaking a medical sample, so I told her to tell Harvey it was my fault, which was apparently a bad idea. Well, that's rough, buddy. Half a diamond and a super meal? All better, right? Anyway, I learned about— Oh! So it is a lava pool. I was wondering about that. I cooked my first of these things, grabbed a bunch of things I'd already cooked, and by the end of day 331, I'd given a total of 19 of the 50. Krobus sent me a crafting recipe for a nifty sign the next morning. I can display an item? I determined today that the aged lava eel roe is also more valuable than caviar. Then I spent the rest of the day giving gifts, but I was starting to worry, because you can only give people 2 gifts per week. I soldiered on with my maximal people-pleasing, swapped in some ancient fruit on Ginger Farm, and occasionally guessed when I didn't have any better ideas. But the guessing wasn't working. I was at 37 out of 50, but my remaining options that I knew and could get only totaled to 11, which meant I needed to guess right twice. It was Christmas again though, which ended up being a saving grace, because our giftee was Marnie, who I did know loved pumpkin pie. Achievement unlocked, and yes, that did count. So now I only had to guess right once. Maru actually wrapped my present, even if it was just a weird shell. The fiber seeds produced this bounty next day, along with a few mixed seeds, thankfully. So this fiber train will be continuing. I stumbled into a Sam cutscene about making a band, but didn't end up hearing any music. Then it was gift time again, in the middle of which I got a Harvey cutscene about getting a checkup. Okay, hold still please. Alright, you gonna tell me to turn my head and cough? Oh, say ah, oh okay. But not long after, I was running out of options, and Leo was one of my last known. Oh, shit! I never tried hitting it! Then another cutscene happened with Leo. Are there other kids?
He is surmounting his denial right now.
I know I'm not actually a bird, but I don't like thinking about it, because I'm so alone. I don't belong anywhere. Poor lad. I wonder if there's some way to help. Oh, that hit me into feels like a truck. And after that, I spent the whole rest of the day trying to find him, but only ever found this nut. And I came back to the valley very late to give Clint a last-minute birthday gift, which he only liked. I was down to 3 gifts, and I knew I could give Leo a mango and Elliot a pomegranate, but the last one had me worried. Once keg day was done, I did a little pond work. The scorpion carp roe wasn't revolutionary, so I decided to test the speed of caviar production versus aged lava eel roe production, and emptied the other 2 ponds, testing midnight squid in one of them. Then I had an idea. The wizard had always liked items that had magical relevance, including something called a prismatic slime with prismatic jelly, right? So perhaps, please This is imbued with potent arcane energies. Please tell me that was a love. Yes! Yeah! I quickly gave Elliot his pom-pom, harvested, pruned, and replanted on Ginger Farm, and gave this rascal my 50th and final loved gift for the quest. Now, let's spend that reward. I really want this. I had to resist the urge and bought 2 more expensive recipes. Perfection progress report. Back home, I crafted magic bait for the first time, and the queen filled me again the next morning. I stopped into Pierre's, where I overheard Abigail and Caroline arguing about clothes, and for once, I didn't have to give them some kind of advice. I'd come to buy a truckload of wheat seeds, thinking I could use these for something special. I spent the whole day hoeing the farm with this master plan of mine, and then, out of season. Oh no, dude. Well, that didn't work. So, I used what little I had left of the day to start using hoppers for dehydrators and furnaces, which was rather satisfying to see. And now it's year 4, and it's a complete mess again. Once I decluttered the farm, I decided to go for kale at Pierre's, since from all my random juice testing, that one hadn't been half bad. And frankly, the rest of these didn't look like good keg options. Bean juice, anybody? I didn't have time for the whole farm thanks to the wheat fail, but I'd managed to get a good chunk of the farm in action. And the Lava Eel Road takes less time to age than caviar, so this was clearly superior. Once I had the farm ready, I bought parsnip seeds to hopefully have the crops all be ready at the same time for the first harvest, but then I got this potato quest again, so I bought some potato seeds too. Though surprisingly, I didn't actually have to grow them again. Cheese quests looked like this, and I wasn't down for a 3rd mines run, so now the hunt was on for 4 prismatic shards, and I got the last of the Shelly rock nuts. As I polished off the farm that night, I noticed this hut was on, and thanks to that distraction, I barely got everything planted in time. Willie checked off another recipe from the list, so I cooked her up and started working on making pineapple seeds for a future thing when Did I just dig up a chair out of the ground? Dug up a whole chair? Yup, nice. I made some more kegs, what's new, and my first big wooden chest. I threw 12 of these kegs down out here, spent a little time trying to make the front of my house not look quite like a yard sale anymore, tossed potatoes in those kegs, tossed pumpkins in all the other ones, and really leaned into the big wooden chests for making organization a little bit better. And look, an achievement. Yeah, look at that, we're a legend now. I chopped down most of the remaining oak because I figured I had basically all the resin I'd ever need. And now I had all of this space to work with again. I had Robin start another shed upgrade. Then I used a totem to go home. Then I used a totem to go home. And rode for Clint's, where I bought 800 coal with plans to make 100 preserves jars for pickles and lava eel roe, and 1,000 iron ore for more kegs. And more stone and wood back at Robin's, also for those jars. And with this rod setup, I went fishing for friends. You can tell I was really into the fish pond strategy. My very first catch was the glorious doubled catch of lava eels, and I spent the rest of the day not catching a single another one. I crafted 39 of those 100 jars, and I spent the day smelting and... Whoa, what's happening? These little fluff balls will harvest in a radius around the hut, it seems. Good to know. Okay, you guys do that. And these dudes sometimes give gold. Wild. I harvested the rest for myself, replanted more kale, and ended up with this juicy yield, some of which I shoved in these new preserves jars because I didn't really know what else to do with all these parsnips. I started off the day smelting again. Okay. I'm really good at this game. I made use of these sprinklers to increase the hut's efficiency for now, cooked some of the things that needed kale, did a little ginger maintenance, came back home to smelt. No! I'm very good at this game. I cooked a few things that needed the radishes and poppies I'd grown on Ginger Farm, and went gift giving and foraging for the rest of the day. And cooked this shrimp cocktail before bed, which I had needed a horseradish for. The potato juice for Pam was done, and I learned that this is how you get squid ink. Oh. In my attempts to drop off that juice to Pam, I smacked into a Penny cutscene, where Penny asked me to help clean the place. Then Pam came home, lost it, and told me to leave. So I went back in. Watson, you came at a good time. I don't think that I did! Anyway, here's the juice. Hooray. Today's gift-giving highlights were accidentally remembering the mayor's birthday and learning from this quest that Clint actually loves rubies. And today's keg day finally had me a bit low on pumpkins and starfruit, which had me sweating a bit. The ice pip asked for iron ore the next day, though the stingy thing hadn't even made anything yet. I gave Sam a cactus fruit to sleep with, fished up a sunfish, used it to bake my first fish, started harvesting the not-so-glorious but still acceptable pickled parsnips, and bought some cauliflower seeds to plant on the island, where I also continued the ancient fruit replacement mission. The Jojo However, it confirmed I only had 3 walnuts left. A tempting offer. But I still couldn't find the one more hidden in the west. I harvested another mountain of kale and put in more kale and potatoes this time. George sent one of those remaining recipes, fried eel, but I needed an eel for that. And guess who didn't have one? I made a new crystallarium to produce diamonds, since my still weirdly needy fish wanted some. I bought this workbench and calendar from Robin, along with a spare TV for Ginger Isle. This workbench let me craft from all chests adjacent to it, which will be very convenient for the recipe crafting requirements for perfection. And the calendar, well, it's a calendar, so that's good. And I went night ocean fishing for that eel, but didn't catch one, though I did get seaweed and a diamond. I guessed it must be seasonal too, so I made some magic bait next morning, and I ordered what I suspected would be my final shed on day 346. Don't worry, I'm gonna move that later. I turned in half of the raccoon's new needs, did more foraging down south, and bought more hay for my starving animals, who I was beginning to suspect were eating my crops.
How's this happening?
The other half of the raccoon's needs finished soon after, and he gave me fairy dust in return. Oh, and apparently the family still isn't done.
Another?
The fairy dust does this, which is nifty, so I decided to save it. And this time, with magic bait, the first thing I caught was an eel.
Guess that covers that.
One fried eel coming up. The diamond I'd caught yesterday was enough to make these dudes happy. And the next day, I stole Pam's sign, because apparently I can, and put it to good use. I swapped even more ancient fruit seeds on Ginger Farm, and found out the hard way that most people hate poppies for some reason, except specifically Penny. So I turned them all into these muffins instead. I was truly offended by all the rejection, so I spent the rest of the day clearing out this shed, setting up the new Crystallaria operation, making more preserves jars, and slamming them down where the Crystallaria were, and working on hiding all the items I didn't really care about behind my house. Next morning, I polished off the moved the sheds one last time, and called for one more big shed upgrade. I retrieved the Mines Junimo chest, queued up parsnips in the new preserving shed, started giving people poppy muffins instead, and set up that Junimo chest here, with plans to fix the long-awaited problem. I ran into another cutscene with Leo. These cutscenes were happening a lot thanks to the gifts, and it looks like Leo wants to be a normal kid again. Poor kid. And finally, I started working on that volcano again, but I'd forgotten my watering can, so I had to go get that. I spent time working on the magma sprays for the Slayer goal, and getting teefs for the obelisk, ending up with 3 for the day. And instead of going to the egg festival and crushing the kids' dreams again, I went after the volcano again, running into a room full of mushrooms and these little mushroom creatures. Freaky as that was, I ended up with plenty of magma caps at this point. I popped the Slayer goal for these dudes finally, but was otherwise unsuccessful in finding the tooths. I queued up magma caps in a dehydrator, hoping dearly I'd get the last thing I needed for the produce selling, and frantically harvested and replanted the farm by night with what seeds I had left, but didn't quite finish. These magma caps weren't the answer to my produce woes once again, and I was really worried at this point. Once the farm was all fixed, I faced the reality that the potatoes were a giant waste of time, since Pam never sent me anything special for the potato juice quest. Keg Day was a mix of queuing wine and juice due to supply, most of the juice being from kale. But look at that. Oh man, I can't wait for summer. The rest of the day was wholesome gifts. Candy from a stranger. I also checked out these Slayer goals, only 2 to go now, and saw I could buy a new crab shell ring, with intentions to improve my combined ring situation. And for some reason, why am I killing these? Oh my god, I just impulsively killed them. Well, now I can raise better ones, I guess. And then, in the ethereal time and space between recording sessions... Guys, it's about to be 1 o'clock in the morning, but I just was in the shower thinking about Stardew, you know, like a normal person. I've been trying to figure out this whole time what this is. And I was like, well, what if it's not a dehydrator thing? Because it's on the other side of the dehydrator stuff. It's like, what if it's something else from 1.6 that isn't this? What else was 1.6? Oh, right. There was the mastery. Did mastery provide anything? Yes. Yes, it did. It's almost like that and that are the exact same shape. I got it. Oh my, I'm going to bed. I'm going to sleep. So on the real day 351, I sold that lovely stuff to finally knock out the produce requirements. I spent a little more time on paving the quarry that morning. Then it was off to the desert festival, where I gave people things, received a lovely new cactus from the Cactus Man, passed this guy's quiz and earned a crisp 50 calico eggs, and took on a relatively simple challenge, testing out my first magic rock candy. Combined with the weird chef guy, I had an additional 8 luck from food now, so I made pretty short work of the journey. I told good old Gil about it, and got even more eggs. And that night, I finally got the achievement for shipping every item. Probably probably could have had this several days ago, but you know. By today, thanks to focusing a lot on Jazz and George, everyone was at least 3 hearts at this point. Speaking of George, I took this big board quest for leeks for him, and the default gift to give people became rubies, thanks to the consistent crystallariuming of them. You know what I mean. Today's desert quest was pretty straightforward again, and upon its completion, oh, I completed, that counts as help wanted quest. That was a surprise, but I'll take it. I stole Pam's sign again. This is important activity right here. I decided to make my big chunk of spring forage into spring seeds to get those leeks for George, and planted them during the next day's harvest. It was now preserving day, and the fact I didn't know how long it would take for these things to, well, do their thing was really catching up to me. So, the parsnips are beginning at 2 p.m. on Wednesday. Let's see how long this takes, shall we? Shane sent me a pizza in the mail again. This thing has to be at least 2 years old now, doesn't it? That's great, bro. That's awesome. That's what I've always wanted. So, the ancient fruit was starting to come online by this point, and the cauliflower was too. I ran out of ancient seeds to my surprise, so I threw coffee in the ground to keep the soil fresh for now, and started doing some of this again. I spent the rest of my eggs on these mystery boxes again, and late that night, the raccoon said, "I need a gift for the missus," which was apparently these things. And I had those things. That Watson wingman coming to the rescue. He gave me this jungle tank in exchange, of which I could apparently buy more, whatever it was. I cooked this with the cauliflower from Ginger, and now I'd officially cooked every recipe I knew, but I still needed to find 7 more. Hopefully making friends will take care of that. And as for that tank, the spirits were very happy on day 354, so I decided to take action. I popped my only other magic rock candy and dropped into the caverns once more, employing the frivolous bomb usage strategy I'd refined in cheese mines. It was my absolute best run ever, and I was even lucky enough to find a dino room to help with the Slayer goal. The loot was great, and so was the iridium, but my main mission was to get these as per cheese request. By level 80, the rock candy had already run out, and my bomb supply was low, but it was only 4 p.m. Shard number 2 came soon after, and I made sure to target clusters of iron to make more bombs out of. I had the 3rd one pop at level 90, but number 4 was tricky. Hey, this is the first time I think I've ever made a level 100 without using staircases. Yeah, I had 0 of those thanks to the chi mines. I had to start crafting bombs around 8 p.m., but 19 more might just be enough. Okay, maybe 8 more. Okay, maybe 6 more. And after almost dying and snacking on lots of parsnips while this bomb waited patiently, ooh, we got it! That was close. I pushed just a bit further to set my new record of level 154 in Skull Caverns, with 249 iridium ore required. Keg things happened, at least the ones that had juice in them. It is Friday at 10:50 a.m. Soon, I'll know how long juice takes to make. I ordered fish pond number 5, and I decided to give these little guys one of each type of gem, just to see if anything would happen. And I spent most of the day smelting, seed making, and giving gifts where I still could for the week, with a pit stop to swap ancient seeds into these last spots, confirming this parrot simply wouldn't tell me about the other 2 nuts besides this one, finishing off that shard quest for Chi, never stopped trying to achieve perfection. Yeah, Chi, I know, that's what I'm doing, Mom! I also took a new quest to sell 100,000 G of freshly cooked items. Progress report, man, I do not know where those other star drops are. I bought another recipe with the gems, and decided this key to the town was worth grabbing now, in order to give gifts more effectively. Then I began to strategize for that quest. I really could just make 1,000 hash browns. And considering how many potatoes I had growing, that became the plan. The experiment parsnip finished, and it took somewhere between 60 to 64 Stardew hours to finish, which is about 2.5 days. I learned from the ice pip experiment that the roe was good, but not as good as lava eel roe. And also diamonds are more than twice the value of any of the other gems. Today was a day for a lot of learning. And among the replanting, okay, did I successfully plant potatoes in every spot? I think I did. I like to miss these, I've noticed in editing, like I like to just missed them. I wish this was a bit, folks. I really do. I started up a second lava eel pond where the pips had been, and when I grabbed the squid out of this one, I noticed that the ponds stripped the fish of their quality. I decided to test the sandfish next, and learned I could put 3 fish in these tanks. So of course I decided a little legendary fish museum was in order. Oh, and I also started a 3rd lava eel pond, and by night, I did some big boy math. But the math left my brain when I got this incredibly suspicious letter from Penny. Penny? Oh my. I had another realization today. I swear the Junimos that are coming out of here are different colors. They were all red before, because they were rubies. Wait a minute now, you can choose the color of Junimo based on the gem. That's what's happening. And then it was time to use that math. And by math, I do indeed mean an absurdly large amount of copper ore, iron ore, oil, and wood. So much wood. Oh, and I guess I was wrong. Here comes a new shed in this spot for some reason. Also, I finally looked at this for the first time, and oh, wait, does that look nice? Don't look at that. Maybe this book right here will help. I bet there better be some. I better not know them all already, because I'm gonna be upset. If you give me this and there's none left, you learn 0 new recipes. You are such a dick. I began the multi-day journey to smelt the incredible amount of ore I'd bought, and immediately took a break to do this, which somehow was actually a working plan, which is almost enough. A few more potatoes to sort that. And speaking of potatoes, Pam apparently didn't like the juice. But this Penny cutscene was a bit more positive. Let's just assume nothing untoward happened, everybody. Pam clued me into a new TV channel as a thanks for the nasty juice. And look at this, a literal guide about when and where the fish are. Bit late there, Stardew. Still, it told me where to find smallmouth bass, which I did need for that not-so-little guide down by the sewer exit. The spring seeds yielded lots of forage. I enjoyed a Maru cutscene where she electrocuted me. I fished up that bass, and dropped off the leeks for George's surprise. Hope you like them, buddy. That ruby plan had worked, because look at all these spicy eels, baby. The desynced wine was done today too, and this guy finally got his bass. Oh! Mission accomplished? Not exactly. He wants an eel now, apparently. I finished smelting the copper part of the new keg order on day 358, and I took a minute to rearrange the cellar, and I'm going to start making like basically an emergency fund. I plan to scoop a little bit off the top of all the starfruit wine I produced, and age it down here for some backup cash. You know, just in case. The juice took somewhere between 86 and 91 Stardew hours, so I assumed juicing takes basically 3.75 days. Evelyn sent me one of those remaining recipes, and she told me to swing by to see George receive his leeks, giving me this coffee maker which just automatically makes coffee every morning. I am suddenly jealous of my Stardew character. I stumbled over to witness what I thought would be a funny moment with George. Leek, my favorite. Just like Mama used to make so many years ago. Ah. Well, that... I guess maybe I'm not as forgotten and ignored as I thought. Thanks, son. You made an old man's day. Wow. Well, that was emotional. I'm not crying, you're crying. Sebastian also took the time to be edgy and show off his bike. Of course he has a bike. I'd stumbled into learning Sandy likes pearls by happy accident, so I started giving her the ones I had. And as of that one, everybody was at least 4 hearts now. And by night, I fished up some fairy dust and an eel for the snack man down south. I cooked up that rice pudding in the morning, collected my morning coffee, gathered the rest of my hash browns, polished off the iron smelting for the keg bonanza, and cooked a slightly less morbid amount of hash browns to complete the cheek quest. I went to bring the eel to the mystery man, only to realize my whole day was now gone. Great. I checked the event shop. Oh, whoa. Have I been missing recipes from event shops? That's disturbing. I decided to dance with Penny since we just hung out in hot water a few nights ago. Seemed appropriate, you know? In the end, Mystery Snacky Boy was nowhere to be found, but the raccoon wanted these things again now. And by firelight, I crafted an absolutely ungodly amount of kegs, such that the spirits of the valley may never forgive my sins. I slapped those down where I could, filling every space I had in my 7 sheds, taking over most of the preserving shed, and leaving the overflow out here for now. I bought a new truckload of starfruit seeds for the first harvest, relieved Pam of another of her signs, ordered another shed upgrade, actually got rid of everything that wasn't ancient on Ginger Farm, and took another strange and wacky cheat quest, this time involving Skull Cavern. This guy got his eel, only to request I bring him another one, fried this time. And my eels were needy again, with the first pond I'd made asking for mega bombs? That's what you needed, huh? You needed... Okay. I gave old boy his fried snack, but now he wants a fruit salad. Little man is hungry. The pickles were done, so I swapped the spots of the jars and kegs, which means I'm probably gonna need another shed, doesn't it? The raccoon's needs were met once again, where I received more of this and the capacity to buy it in their shop. And whoa! Okay, there's something interesting happening now. Little man got his salad. Is that enough? We dancing. What? Oh, that looks way better. Oh. What in the Mary Pop? A hint from the comments directed me to this secret I would not have found otherwise, where I got this new power book. Guess I should be checking those cans after all. Gus was selling these things Vincent loves, so I bought a few. I also traded all my saved up mystery boxes in to take advantage of these new options in the raccoon shop because I wanted to get something to help with the upcoming Skull Caverns dive. The rest of that night and the next morning was all about the farm. Remember that plan I'd had before to save the winter soil with wheat? I was hoping it would work this time for the spring soil since I could actually plant these parsnips. I also decided to have 2 notifying kegs over here since I'd be doing a mix of juice and wine until the starfruit was ready. And once keg day was done, which takes so long with 867 kegs, the day was basically over. But look at this mushroom tree. Today's mission was the Chi Quest since I'd forgotten all about it, and today was the last day. Once I'd made a sizable bomb purchase, I read the fine print and ate and drank something outside the caverns, then went to work. You guys have seen plenty of the cavern by this point, so just know I ran out of all the foodie goodness on level 72, but still managed to make it to level 100 just after 10 p.m. without any extra food. I spent the last few hours continuing with food. Auto petter? Huh? That ought to be interesting. Summertime. Good news, the soil's tilled and watered already. Bad news, it's not fertilized. I tossed this little spinny boy in the barn, bought more of this stuff, and kept giving people gifts. Still can't understand why you'd want to be friends with me. Shane, have a parsnip. You're welcome, buddy. I have such a way with people, don't I? It took all day, but I planted and fertilized this whole thing, including a little double checking session just in case. Day 366 was almost entirely about giving gifts and watching cutscenes, like covering for Sam dropping an egg, or watching Clint give an advertisement for Joja Cola blue flavor and then literally turn blue. But a few other things happened. No! I'm clicking on a toad, no! That's my totem, bro. Why are you wasting my totem like that, dude? I also bought things, like all the seeds I'd need for the rest of the season, this random recipe from this island trade hut thing, and this recipe from Chi. I got 2 new recipes from the giftees next morning, and I cooked them up, gave more gifts, because these 4 hunters down here had me worried. But hopefully they'll give me these remaining 4 recipes soon. Today also began the first of many consecutive volcano days, in hopes of snagging some teeth, but there were none on day 367. And by night, I kegged the last of the kale. Well, almost. I did the rest in the morning, along with coffee and parsnips and the rest of the kegs I didn't have kale for. Clint taught me bean hot pot, so now, bam, it's just green beans. It's just green beans? 3 cooking recipes to go. I also relearned the magic of loved birthday gifts, as Jazz went from 4 to 7 hearts, just like that. Today's obligatory cutscene involved me finding Pierre's stash. I agreed not to mention it, and he agreed to not call me out on the burglary. You know, that's fair. Oh, and I also learned Harvey does aerobics classes with the ladies, which he was embarrassed about for some reason, so I kept his secret too. At least you don't have a stash, Harv. I gave Maru one of these. Welcome to the collective. Cutscene number 3 was a very touching choice by Leo to come to the valley, thanks to Linus agreeing to take him in. This game has so many fantastic cutscenes. And the day's volcano was once again devoid of teeth. But look, Leo's here now. I also emptied all the ponds except my original lava eel pond, and used the eels I'd bred to make all of the remaining ponds lava eel ponds. And the parents did one last construction project overnight, but not for me this time. And that's what that tree has been this whole time. The regular ancient fruit bounty was getting real good by this point, but otherwise, today can be summed up like this.
What did they do with my teeth? Where are my teeth at? Where did they go?
Though in the end, I did actually find a whole 1 tooth. Dragon Tooth Club? Can I have the tooth off of this? Wouldn't that be nice? I spent the extra time after the volcano on the Paving the Quarry project, where I started planting a whole bunch of acorns to have a new tree farm. It was wine keg day today, and once I'd replaced all of this, I ran to the volcano, got no teeth again, and spent the rest of the day crafting every single thing that I could, including these heavy furnaces. And I made a list of what I still needed resources for, including this thing, which needs 5 additional dragon teeth. How did you get there? Hey, can I sit with this man? I'd also crafted this new dwarf statue, which allowed me to pick between 2 random mining powers each day. I also decided to start saving the GeoCrusher's results, since one of the things I still needed to craft every recipe I'd found so far was marble, which I'd only ever seen come from geodes. The raccoon had more requests. Lucky for him, I already had what he needed lying around. Thanks, Bobo, take this. What in the
Stardrop tea?
The description made me think this would be an awesome backup in case I couldn't get everybody to 10 hearts in time, so I held on to it for now. This is definitely not another shed. My incessant gift giving had everyone at least 5 hearts now, but that's still kind of low, so a lot of my days were about giving gifts to fix that. I chose against refilling the juice kegs today, since the starfruit was nearly done, and had lots of coffee to speed things up. Besides finally remembering to feed my animals before they started starving, accepting this quest to gather ginger, and a Shane cutscene where he had too much soda again. The rest of day 372 was gifts and volcanoing, where I found an unbelievable 7 dragon teeth, but I didn't see one of them, so I only got 6. And also, I learned this zooming out trick for the mining-based tasks and how helpful it was by this point. Progress report, look at that crafting recipe percentage. The volcano had no teeth today, so at this point I began to think there were better days for teeth. Back home, I fire quartzed my lava boys, and finally built the final obelisk.
Now we're talking. We got all the obelisks. Check.
And among the day's gifting...
What is this? It's a painting by Leia? Oh, so you're cheating on me. Okay. Oh, Leia, what are you doing here? Oh, so you're both cheating on me with each other, I see.
I'd also snagged some coral for a remaining crafting thing, but there was this other recipe that also had me worried. The Statue of Blessings, because that's a lot of fiber and moss. Oh look, somebody in my phase at the crack of dawn again. Listen Shane, therapy's great, but let's talk about this not at 6 a.m., okay? Today was Starfruit Day. Suffice it to say, despite 2 wilted ones, me and the Junimos harvested a combined total.
It's 1,031. Did I do that right?
Now that's a lot of starfruit. I used the zoom trick to replant successfully and chucked starfruit in every keg that didn't still have ancient fruit in it. I also decided to take birthdays very seriously from now on. And look, Maru's at 10 hearts now. Day 375 was completely absorbed by the luau, but the comments had advised me that a gold star melon would get the job done. And well,
thank you, comments. Oh my, that's the best soup I've ever tasted. Oh, look at him, he's good, yes.
I spent the night crafting tree fertilizer for the new oak farm, and I passed out using it all up. The OG eels had reached their neediest.
You want an iridium bar? Of course you do.
Here you go, guys. I'd also made a lot of fiber seeds, so I planted those all over the south side of the farm and left them to do their thing. I had Ginger Farm's ancient fruit almost entirely synced up, so I snagged myself 445 ancient fruit too. The volcano had no teeth once again, but the ancient fruit wine was finished, so I threw starfruit in all the remaining kegs. Well, almost all of them. Once I fixed that, I planned to sync all the kegs back up on the back end of this tragic split and went to buy a nice chunk of iron from Clint again. Iron was the main obstacle for most of the remaining crafting recipes I'd yet to craft, so once I'd checked off another important birthday gift, oh, wait, another cutscene. Maru built a robot in her basement and wanted me to see it. Demetrius came to catch us doing something, only to be surprised by a giant robot. So now her dad likes me instead, and the robot was too sentient to accept servitude, so it flew away in search of other sentient life in the cosmos. Right, okay. Glad you're happy, Maru. Alright, now I'll smelt the iron in my new fancy heavy furnaces. And look, sometimes you get 6 bars instead of 5 for 25 ore. They're even more efficient than I thought.
Did that thing really just strike my lightning rod and then not actually strike my lightning rod? Yo, what the I crafted 4 more of the things I had left to do, like this anvil that randomizes trinket stats, and managed to get my level 3 fairy up to a level 5 fairy. I have no idea how that helps, but I think it helps. Leo gave me another cooking recipe in the mail, only 2 to go now. I caught Alex crying on the beach, only to learn the heavy truth that his mother died just a few days after his birthday, 12 years ago. And this theme you're hearing right now is a music box she gave him way back when. This game is so ridiculously well made that I have strong emotions towards every single one of these characters, and I don't know how to feel about that, okay? The raccoon wanted to try for baby number 7, and of course that means they need radish juice and pickled tomato.
Oh look, a Sam cutscene.
Oh yeah, that's gonna get you in trouble.
Anyway, I bought coal again and spent the rest of the day giving and smelting. Oh look, another cutscene. No, my emotions can't handle this. Okay, the rest of the... No, Stardew, please.
These are real Bonnie Jewel slippers! Look at that. But these are so expensive. How did you afford them? I've cut back on an expensive habit. I have a lot more spending money now.
Okay, now we can. Not another one, please. My heart can't.
What are those?
Are those blue hens? Can you get those? The chicken whisperer over here didn't tell me, and I'm upset about it. Even when I gave him a bouquet. Unbelievable. I'm taking this out on the trees. I took a new quest from Chi to hunt for shards again on day 379, checked on my progress to see I still had so far to go, finished up all that iron smelting, crafted a new jar and some kegs to jumpstart the raccoon's latest request, and almost finished up this shed. And harvested the greenhouse for the first time in a while, where I learned that the trees had begun to produce silver quality fruit. I'd really gotten the loved gifts thing down by this point, so I spent the rest of the day taking care of that. Again. George cutscene. Turns out the wheelchair was from a mining accident. Let's quickly move on so our hearts don't break again. Just before sleep, I cooked that thing Leo taught me.
Oh, it's a green rain day.
And so, with a day like this having shown up, and considering that statue of blessings I mentioned before, I spent the whole day foraging lots of fiber, lots of wood, and lots of moss, until I passed out in the mud.
Here's how much I got. The starfruit wine was done today, so that apparently takes about 6 to 6.5 days. I harvested the wine from the kegs, but didn't refill them just yet, since the others were still about 2 to 3 days out of sync. But this half of the kegs had quite the output. Oh my! Harvey joined the collective today, and Sam got a birthday cactus at work, who was also now ready to join the one. So can I get a kiss now? Honestly? You ask me like that, you can have it. Happy birthday. I had everybody at minimum 6 hearts at this point, but everything was starting to feel just a bit out of reach. The comments had given me a hint about this one hidden in the west, so I covered up the other holes for this guy and slapped him. Oh! That walnut was enough to get enough Chi gems to buy Chi's last recipe. But the hint parrot would not give me hints about the last 2 walnuts I was missing now, and this had me worried. Elliot took me for a boat ride in the ocean and gave me a surprise. Fair enough, brother, carpe diem, right? I crafted that recipe I got at the dance and started getting crafty with ways to improve hearts with Sandy, since she was the only low heart person I didn't have something she loved, as I'd run out of pearls. Let's watch a movie, Sandy. 7 hearts, yes! So that works. Good to know. The comments also advised me to do this. I'm supposed to go into his bedroom and use a staircase. Oh my god. What? Once I'd solved this maze to finally reclaim Lewis's shorts, these phantom shorts came to destroy me, but I made it out in time. I have no idea why I did that, but I'm glad I did. I'd gotten this catalog from Pierre, so don't be too shocked if the floor and wallpapers change every now and then. Before sleep, I crafted a few more of the few crafting recipes I had left. Sam showed up at my door at 6 a.m. to tell me he had a band show coming up, and Sandy taught me one of the 2 remaining cooking recipes. Only 1 to go, and I'm willing to bet it's a spicy eel. It was farm day, so me and the boys pulled up a whole bunch of fiber and 1,037 starfruit. The rest of the wine finished up today too, so I filled every single keg with delicious starfruit. And at the last minute, I made a few extra kegs, filled up the rest of the casks down here with more starfruit wine, and gave the raccoons their most recent request. The ancient fruit was officially synced up by this point. Oh, how glorious this extra 462 ancient fruit is. I hadn't managed to get marble by this point, so I took matters into my own hands and brought Clint 307 omni-geodes. And exactly 300 geodes later, with 7 left, I got it. Look how much I got before I got it. Even a prismatic shard showed up before marble, folks. Marble brazier? Check. And also this thing too, which really does give random blessings. The only recipe I had left now was the mini forge, assuming I had collected all the recipes. Oak Resin Farm 3.0 was officially online as of day 384, and I ran smack into the Sam cutscene on the way home. And you know what? The music was really good. I snagged one of the 5 remaining teeth for the forge, but when I checked the crafting recipe percentage afterwards, it's at 96. Oh, we're missing a lot then. Oh, that's not good. My theory at this point was that they came from the quests I'd been ignoring, like the ginger one Caroline gave me this recipe for. There was exactly 1 day left on a couple of the wizard's quests, so I took this one and went looking for a prismatic slime. This is when I learned the Chi Mines was a toggle kind of thing. Once it was on, until I turned it off. But I got real lucky on level 4 and scored this jelly. Here you go, Mr. Wizard, give me a crafting recipe, please. I played Stardew's version of D&D with Sebastian and Sam, and I planted a new rare seed with the hopes that maybe one day I could make sweet gemberry wine, if that exists. I'm not sure, because sweet gemberries aren't in the produce collection. And the volcano was devoid of teeth once again, but I did get this book from the dwarf on level 5. George blessed me with the final cooking recipe, which I proceeded to immediately forget about. And the wizard gave me this recipe, which was a cologne that draws out more monsters when applied. Sounds like it's time to do more mining things, so I took this ectoplasm quest and made sure to catch the dwarf's birthday too. Leia's ex showed up today, being that terrible kind of man we all know and hate. Even claiming to have shown up to Leia's art show, which I guess he actually did, if standing so far back here that I literally didn't even notice counts as showing up. I decided not to hit him, because you know, that was her job. Watson's a better man than you in every respect. I don't know about that better man than you in every respect thing, because I'm dating literally everyone in the town. Yeah, literally every option at this point. The minimum heart count was at 7 now, but the clock is ticking, so let's do another movie, Sandal. I turned in these prize tickets I'd been hoarding, earning some nifty stuff, including another Stardrop tea, and revealing a book that I suspected would improve the hearts with everyone when I read it. So I went looking for ghosts with some of that musk, slaying dust sprites along the way for my second to last Slayer goal. And oh man, was that musk effective. I spent a large chunk of the next day in the normal mines, musked up, looking for sprites and ghosts. Eventually the sprite goal popped, only 16 dinosaurs to go now. I fished up a single eel late at night and cooked the final cooking recipe. Oh yeah. Every single one. Cooking, check. Most of the next day was skull caverning, but I'd forgotten monster musk. I did encounter 5 dinos and a dino floor, but I came up empty on the ectoplasm once again. What did you do with the ectoplasm? What did you do with the ectoplasm? Hey, I got one of them. I forgot I was doing that too. My eels were needy again after that. These guys wanted a mineral from geodes. How about that? 2 of them wanted dwarf scroll number 3, and 1 wanted some diamonds. These other 2 dudes are gonna have to wait. Dwarf scroll 3, dude? I bought a magic rock candy today, and went for a luckier day down in them caverns, with monster musk this time, which drew out several dinosaurs, and lots of ghosts. I slew 7 of the 11 remaining dinos, but not a single ghost dropped ectoplasm. Where are the ectoplasm? And I did manage to secure a 3rd prismatic shard, earn some more sprinklers, and I beat my depth record by exactly 1 level. I ran around till 9:40 in the morning trying to find this guy, who was surprisingly difficult to find these days due to him having 2 homes. Still, happy birthday, Leo. Welcome to 10 Heartland. The rest of day 390 was a big ol' rekegging day, which really takes all day when you lose hours looking for Bird Boy. But hey, money is money. God. The comments recommended sprinklers for these guys, and you know, that makes sense. I used the piddling amount of time I had left to run the caverns with musk, knocking off 2 more dinos. But hey, money is money. Alright, it's story time. I thought that this parrot might be bugged, kind of like the Gembird puzzle and the Ginger Island achievement have been, due to the big update. So this time I did a cursory Google. I avoided the wiki, of course, but somebody on Reddit had the exact same issue as me, and I thought, great, I'll get this solved. Little did I know, I was just being a peanut again. I may have accidentally read exactly where the last 2 nuts were, but let's not worry about that right now. Let's talk money. The current batch of wine would bring me to about 8 million G when it was done, but the wine round after that, which would bring me enough G for the golden clock, wasn't going to finish by day 400. So it was time to improvise. I took the first step today, where I swapped all the Crystalleria over to exclusively diamonds, since they were worth the most. I went musking for the remaining 2 dinosaurs, and quickly found a dino floor to score. Protector of the Valley, we have done it. The ghosts, of course, did not give any ectoplasm, despite my best efforts. But I did at least get my last shard for Che again, so I bought this thing from him late at night, and TP'd over to Gil, who shockingly didn't give me a star drop for my efforts. Well, at least this thing is done. The final bounty of stars was done on day 392, and it was once again quite a lot. I started throwing my old chests in this deconstructor, another brilliant comment section suggestion, and I spent most of the rest of the day on gifts, taking breaks to do things like setting up this hopper deconstructor combo, and grabbing these skulls I'd remembered I'd saved for the dwarf. My eels are in luck. Thank you, this dwarf scroll number 3 will keep us healthy. Wow, thanks for dwarf scroll number 3. Y'all are so weird. Sam and I hid from Jody in his bed. Close close the door, Sam! And Alex and I had a fancy dinner with Gus's violin serenade. And I checked to see if the pirates were here for no particular reason. I also chatted everybody up at the Jelly Dance, hoping to get every edge possible for the 10 heart mission. Look at those two, aw. And I've spammed down wheat to keep most of the farm fresh. More of this, huh? It's 6 a.m., guys. It's fall, our final season, and the money schemes are on. All the row my needy friends had made, I'd saved. Time to cash in. Vincent was the only dude freaking me out for the socials, being the only person below 8 hearts. The Statue of Blessings had blessed me with a butterfly to find that gives me 50,000 G, apparently. Nice. I took this quest, still hunting for crafting recipes, and it looks like Leo is assimilating here well. Good for him. In the process of taking Sandy to her next movie, I got caught in another lovey-dovey cutscene with Shane this time. Goal! Oh, scoring when your team scores, huh? I see you, buddy. I actually remembered to feed my animals again. Look at me go. I checked for pirates for absolutely no reason whatsoever, and I fished for Willy's Quest, featuring this nifty challenge bait I found, which let me triple catch these dudes. I had the last of the fish by noon on the next day, and I was lucky enough to get a daily quest from Sandy. You're at 10 hearts. What? What? I should not be ignoring those. Guess those matter. Those 2 quests were enough tickets to get this book. You become friends with people a little faster. Dude, it's day 394 and you're now giving me this? I may be ungrateful, but I sure still plan to use every ounce of this buff and started talking to everyone under 10 hearts every day. You got 7 now. All right, talk to me. They wanted these things now because I guess 7 just ain't quite enough. Let's get them things going. I only got a decoration for helping Willy, so that was a fail. But at least it helped my legendary fish museum. Progress report. Man, where are the other star drops? I harvested all that wheat, learning the fertilization remains if the crop persists. Interesting. The rest of the day was fixing the rest of the farm I'd missed and getting pumpkins in all the spots. And check out my diamonds. I started making jelly out of ancient fruit when the row was done. And good news. Because I'm actually feeding them, they're producing. Imagine that. I started working on a routine to aggressively process all this, with Hoppers helping along, and sold a few of the things I'd saved in the kitchen for unknown recipes. Oh my. Sure. The sprinklers were working too. Ostrich eggs make 10 mayonnaise? Things were starting to come together, folks, in a good way. I mean, just look how many dino eggs had been quietly accruing. Let's use them. Pierre Daily Quest, on it, buddy. Have this one. And he's at 10 hearts. You're kidding me, dude. I should not have been ignoring this. I'm guessing the power of that friend book plus a daily quest just is a whole heart, which is wild. I was on a selling spree at this point, and I constantly upkept the production of mayo, cheese, cloth, and jelly going forward. And it was finally keg time. But I only finished 5 sheds plus this on rekegging before the obligatory sleep. But for no wine involved, that's a nice chunk of cash. And the aggressive processing continued on the next day, including of course the remaining kegs. I got the lucky prismatic butterfly thing again, and I became convinced these dailies were a source of a star drop thanks to this little drawing, which I assumed had something to do with these stars. I made a new hopper to automate the cloth production, and enabled these little ones to have their 8th child, hoping I'd get a star drop from them, but no. You're starting to make me sad. But I will take one of these. Looking good, Legend fam. The volcano offered me exactly 1 tooth today. 1 tooth is more than 0 teeth. There's the gratitude we like to see. Not to mention this lovely haul on the day. I'm at 8 million. Can I find 2 million in 3 days? Because those kegs won't make it in time. You gain extra friendship from speaking to people. Okay, right now, that's what we're going to do. Right now, we're going to talk to people. Right now. Caroline, Evelyn, and George all went up a level. Then I ran into this really weird cutscene. This is where you develop photos. Oh, cool. Then, after showing me her passion project room, she asked me this, and I offered to help decorate, which didn't go over well. I feel like trying to get physical with someone when they're trying to show you their hobby and/or passion is a bit selfish and rude. But clearly, Haley felt otherwise. So that cutscene ended abruptly, but then, immediately after, for some reason, you decide to place your hand in your pocket. You touch the rabbit's foot and feel a sense of relief. Huh? Alright. Hi, everyone. We were just gossiping about Mayor Lewis and Marnie. Personally, I don't think there's anything fishy going on between them. Ha, were you born yesterday? You spent a short while with the group. It was an uneventful gathering. Well then, looks like they're all happy to be part of the collective. And Amanda may have gone on a rant about Haley. Like, she just got a brand new dark room. Like, what are we gonna do in this room? If we do too much in this room, we're gonna mess up your brand new dark room. And I don't want to do that. I want your dark room to be pristine so you can use it for your photos. So, only 6 people to get to 10 hearts now. Did you guys make a spicy eel? Thanks, 5 of them. Yeah, that's OP. The volcano offered no teeth today, but I did get some ancient jelly. The pirates had arrived today, which I checked definitely not because I accidentally read anything, and I just so happened to try playing darts with this dude 2 extra times, and won 2 more walnuts from him. Yeah, apparently I was supposed to do that 3 times, not once. But hurrah, that's all the nuts. Yet she did not give me a star drop. Where are they? I went ahead and bought these pressure nozzles for future farm fun, and look, more money. I sold that sweet, sweet jelly, and Krobus and Sebastian rose to 9 hearts today, leaving only Vincent down here at 8. I got the wizard to 10 hearts with a prismatic shard, leaving only 4 total people to whip into shape. The bookseller was in town, so I said this. Trade in some of my books for something. Give him some of my bookussies. I also remembered about my cask bank down here. Time to cash in. The volcano bequeathed unto me 0 teeth once again, but I pulled in this much money overnight. The gambit wasn't yet over on day 400. I'm looking at these numbers, and they don't look half bad. Even Pierre agreed with my strats that morning, but he wasn't open yet. I gave Vincent one of these star drop teas, which raised him to 9 hearts, and it didn't count as a weekly gift. So I can also give you this. What? Only 3 to go, and they're all at 9 hearts. George, how do you feel about an iridium leak? Is it gonna happen? Hang on tight, folks. This ain't over yet. There's only 2 people now. Krobus was still at 9 hearts after his second pumpkin, but I still wasn't done yet. I sold Pierre a few things I had on me, and gave Sebastian his second tier, but still he was at 9 hearts. But I had a movie ticket. I ordered him this delightful Star Drop sorbet, watched this creepy movie with him, which was just his speed anyway, and look who's at 10 hearts now. And with my very last trick up my sleeve, I gave Krobus the other Star Drop tea I'd gotten. Yes! Great friends, check. The blessing statue came clutch with another prismatic butterfly gift, and I had these 2 quests today. I chose the bug one, and came home to gather up everything I'd been working on. Pierre got the business of a lifetime. I sold Willie my extra row, and at Clint's, I sold a bunch of minerals. The gems I'd made I hadn't used for gifts, the leftover ore I had, even my gold, iron, and copper bars, and my precious rubies, and I topped off with iridium bars until... Oh my god, I did it. And at the Wizards, I did what had to be done. Golden clock, baby. Golden clock. Check. I have no money, but I got the clock on day 400. And all that's left now are the mystery star drops, the mystery crafting recipes, and the one I knew I hadn't crafted yet, the mini forge. So I spent my final hours in my 400 days of Stardew, once again not finding any volcano teeth. Now I could end this video here, since it's been 400 days, but that sounds lame. The mission is perfection, and I'm not stopping now. I'm too close. But we're in overtime now. The rules change now. Namely, I decided that 400 days of not using the wiki is enough days of not using the wiki. I wanted to know where the star drops were and what crafting recipes I was missing. How many star drops are there? I need to know. There are 7? Dude. I was only missing 1, and apparently, to get that one, I would have to get married. Okay? I scrolled through the crafting recipes, and I'd only missed 2, the quality bobber and the mini obelisk, both of which came from big board quests. Go figure. That's what I get for ignoring the quests all game long. Quality bobber I get for doing juicy bugs wanted, mini obelisk I get for doing this stupid ectoplasm. I was almost there. Let's fix that, shall we? Abigail's birthday was coming up, so I decided I'd marry her to speed getting hearts up. I know that's a bit min-maxy, but also, we love a gamer girl, okay? Come on, let's do it. Raw gold potatoes became my new heals, and I spent the rest of the day getting bug meat, and got lucky with a Galaxy Soul loot drop along the way. Day 402 was bug hunting again, until I finally had 100, and slurped it all into old boy's barrel for safekeeping. I also bought one of these from the raccoons, and you'll never believe this, but the volcano? Yeah, it had no teeth. The next day, this cutscene happened, with this still wiggling mass of meat on display. Delightful. Willie gave gave me the Quality Baba recipe. I bought another one of these from the Desert Trader this time, and I went to Clint. I'd sold all my copper, so I had to buy a little to be able to craft this thing. I tackled the volcano once again, but this time I used a Lucky Lunch instead of a spicy eel in hopes of getting some teeth already. And you know what? I found one, but I doubled it, so now I only need one more tooth. And I harvested a glorious 898 starfruit wine from my kegs. The next day was pumpkin harvesting and replanting, giving the non-scroll lovers some mega bombs, and of course, kegging those pumpkins. And the volcano was back to its old tricks. I grabbed my ancient fruit the next morning, but it was finally raining in the valley, so I spoke to this dude, who sold me this mermaid pendant, which I then immediately gave to Abigail on her birthday. Unfortunately, the ceremony was to be 3 days later, so it looks like the birthday strategy failed. But I gave her a birthday gift anyway. Girl has good taste, to be fair. Spicy eels and pumpkins? You're gonna love my place. The Lucky Lunch. Oh no, not again. The Lucky Lunch did the trick again today, and the tooth journeys were finally over, with even a few to spare. Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. I bought iron to make into gold from old boy, and finally crafted this inconvenient son of a bitch. I like that. I like that right there. I like that. I like what I just did. I like that right there. It's a good spot, to be fair. With nothing to do until the wedding and the next big board quest, I finally bought this tantalizing thing, and look at that. Oh, I returned home. Right on the doorstep. I like that. By night, Sebastian and I finally went on that bike ride, but I'm engaged now, so you'll just have to guess what happened. The marriage was on the calendar at this point, and I had absolutely zero things I needed to do today. So I spent some time polishing off the Quarry Tree Farm concept, moved my preserving bins into the 8th shed I hadn't upgraded yet, and started seed making my first sweet gemberries. I pruned some of the greenhouse to make room to help with that operation, and the only unfinished quest I received on the big board was the good old ectoplasm thing. I popped a rock candy and a musk and began the long quest to... I got it on my first day? That was, in fact, my first ghost of the day as well. Okay, Stardew. Well, what's that about? I spent like 6... I should just be happy. The scroll-loving eels got their mega bombs. They're all gonna probably ask for iridium bars next. I'm gonna be like, I didn't sell them all. Good neighbors? Yeah, we're good neighbors, baby. Look at him dancing. I'm dancing too. Well, I guess 8 was enough. The wizard finally got his ectoplasm, and with nothing else to do, I went to sleep at 6 p.m. The wizard sent me the final crafting recipe, and I got Craftmaster. I have crafted everything. Crafting, check. These apparently did on-farm teleporting, which was pretty nifty. I can't do anything else productive today because I'm not married. What a statement. But look, it's true. The next day, I got married. In front of all my other girlfriends and boyfriends. I'm sorry, Sebastian and Sam and Penny and Harvey and Maru and Alex and Haley. Yeah. And I'm deer now, apparently. Honeymoon phase over already? My deer had 14 hearts now instead of 10, but it was all the same. I gave her a pumpkin, picked up my pumpkin juice, invited her to a movie, and now she's at 11 hearts. Fortunately, there's no 2 gift per week limit on her anymore, just the 1 per day limit. Sleep time, gift, talk, kiss. I also went to Robin to move the sheds for little walkways between them and to have her upgrade the preserving shed. Sleep time. Good morning, dear. Here's a pumpkin. Good night. I want perfection. I want it. If this means I have to have a depression sleep after my wedding, then fine. I changed it up today and gave her an amethyst, and now she's at 12 hearts. Good night. Good morning. It's fall again. I do need to do the pumpkins. Abigail made me breakfast too, which was adorable. I finished the harvest, refilled the kegs. Holy. And gathered an absurd amount of slime and slept. Another pumpkin in the morning, and as I returned from the theater to give her a ticket. Oh! Never mind! Mystery the Star Drop, find every star drop. Let's still go to the movie. Screw it. And you know I stole this sign on the way there. And would you look at that, folks? Star drops, check. Sleep time. And on day 415, you feel it in your heart, somewhere, somehow. Grandpa is beaming with pride. The legacy of Chest Farm is eternal. And then a rumbling sound was heard in the distance. It's that stupid little rock, isn't it? And by little rock, I of course meant that immovable boulder. Oh! Hi! It has to be. It's gone. And so I climbed what seemed to be a tall mountain, and at the top... Perfection! Abigail, you're up here with me! And so is the fairy! Abigail said some sweet words like we'd been married for more than a literal week. But hey girl, I love the optimism. With a kiss, the touching moment began. Oh, what? Is that Krobus riding a crow? This game never ceases to amaze me. ever. And so the credits rolled on my journey to the summit of perfection. It was a wonderful saga of highs and lows, and I'm so glad I got to experience it the way I did. And that, folks, is how I achieved my first ever perfection in Stardew Valley without ever looking anything up. Mostly. But wait, something doesn't feel right. How about another, huh? I think you'll like this one too.